It's thinking. All
Mine
right.
says,
It's thinking. I think we're on live. Kudos to Dr. Adriana because she just did the technology all by herself.
yay.
With accomplishments. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Adriana Popescu, founder and CEO of Firebird Healing, and I have with me today the fabulous Nicole Collins, who works with me at Firebird.
Hi. Thanks for
Hello.
having me. I mean, we work together, but I'm glad that we're doing this live. Yes.
We're doing this live because we wanted to have a conversation today about families who are dealing with someone who has an addiction issue. This is obviously something that comes up a lot for us because not only do we work together at Firebird Healing, my trauma treatment center, but we also work together at Avery Lane, the drug and alcohol rehab center where Nicole and I actually met. And so Nicole actually runs a family group there. And we both have been working in addiction treatment for a very long time. And so I think we know some things about some of the challenges that families face when their loved one is dealing with an addiction. So maybe we just start there, Nicole. Like, what are some of the challenges you see our clients' families struggling with, our clients who have addiction issues?
The biggest ones are definitely boundaries and parents, families, loved ones. They often want to know, how do I create boundaries while still being supportive to my loved one who's in treatment or struggling with addiction? And communication is another big one.
Yep.
There's often a huge loss of sense of self. The disease of alcoholism and addiction is a family disease. It affects every single person within the family. It's like you drop the rock in the water and it has this ripple effect. And there tends to be, families talk about, loss of sleep, not feeling like they have any control, feeling completely helpless. And their whole lives really do become consumed with their loved one who's struggling with addiction, and they lose themselves in the process.
Yes. I think you said something really important right there, just off the bat. This is a family disease, or like if we don't want to use that particular term, we say a family condition, right?
Yeah.
An issue, a family issue. Sometimes I think the person who has the addiction, can get a little bit in their own stuff and say things like, well, I'm not hurting anybody else, right? I'm just hurting myself. But I think sometimes they often don't realize what an impact it has, or not just that their addictive behavior has an impact on the family. What about what impact is the family having on the person's addiction?
Well, yeah.
Talk about that for a minute.
That can be a big part of it too. Do you have an enabling family member who enables this, this addiction or disease, or, we would say like substance use disorder, but that's a big mouthful. So I generally, refer to it as, the disease. And so do you have a family member who, really is enabling in this behavior? A lot of parents, loved ones, husbands, wives have a hard time letting go. And they're really fearful. What happens if I let go? What happens if I set these boundaries? Is this person going to die without me? Right. And a lot of times the advice we give is, are you helping them to stay in their disease for longer? Or are you pushing them to a point where they have to make a choice? Mm-hmm. Because if they don't have anything on the line to lose,
right,
a lot of times change doesn't come.
Yes. Well, this is why interventions work, right? Like, and if anyone's ever watched, that's the TV show, right? Intervention. It's always about the loved ones coming together and saying to the person with the addiction, hey, if you have a choice, but if you don't choose to change, here's what we're going to do. Here's what the consequences are going to be. Maybe we're not going to continue to pay your expenses. Maybe we're not going to continue to let you live with us. It is a lot about setting boundaries and being willing to follow through with them. But I think you're right. A lot of families struggle around keeping the boundaries in particular, right?
Totally. I mean, that's the thing about boundaries is boundaries are ours to set with another person, but they're also ours to maintain, because a boundary is not to control, change, or manipulate somebody else's behavior. A boundary is really about protecting yourself.
Yes. Exactly. And I think redefining that for people, because so many family members have probably tried in vain to get their loved one to change, right? To force them into change.
Yes.
And oftentimes that doesn't work very well. We know this.
No.
Yes. Yes. So Nicole, what have you found is more helpful as far as boundaries? Let's, stay on that topic for a minute. When you work with families in sessions or in the groups that you offer, what is more beneficial? What's more helpful?
Well, it has to be a boundary that is true and authentic to you. And the thing about boundaries are funny because I always want to say, like, I wish I could give a list of people to, like, here's a list of boundaries and hold to these and everything will be fine. But I have a different threshold and tolerance for pain than maybe you have, right? And what I'm okay with and what you're okay with could be two totally different things, right? I see this happen in my own family. My uncle has been homeless for a long time and struggles with his addiction, and my mom can't have contact with him anymore, and our other uncle does. He has lots of contact with him. He puts money on his books, right? And those are two different people having different experiences with a loved one who's struggling from this, from addiction.
Right.
And so so boundaries have to be true, genuine, and authentic to who you are, right? And you have to ask yourself questions. What is the cost of not setting a particular boundary, right? And we can use like TJ's 4 rooms. What's the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical cost of not setting a boundary, right? And go from there. And what is your fear in setting a boundary, right? What's the real fear in setting the boundary? Oftentimes I find with families, the fear is I'm going to push them further away.
Yes.
And if I push them further away, then what's going to happen to them?
Fear is a huge topic for family. They're really terrified, especially in this day and age with the fentanyl and, like I think families in particular are terrified that their loved one is going to overdose or is going to have something really bad happen with them. They're going to get involved in, dangerous activities. And all those things are absolutely possible. How do you support the families who are dealing with that level of fear?
A lot of work. A lot of work and a lot of support, creating community around yourself, right?
Yeah.
That is a huge part of it. Having other people that they can talk to who understand because they have families themselves, maybe that have struggled with addiction. So creating support, creating community, checking in with other people, bouncing ideas off of each other. I've set this have you ever set a boundary like this? What was that like for you? What happened? Yes. Talking to people who have been through the same experiences, because I have seen people love their children to death.
Yes.
I mean, really, they didn't set, haven't set any boundaries, and there was no reason for them to quit using, and they've died from overdoses.
Yes. Yes. The community and support is so important. And I don't know if people even know, a lot of times I think families don't know that there are support programs for people who have a loved one with an addiction issue, Al-Anon being kind of the most well-known one. There are people who can mentor you, essentially, people who've been through this, maybe have been dealing with it longer or something like that, who have tried different things and have maybe found things that worked and things that didn't work. And even just being, when you're so at a loss and in so much fear and you care so much about this person, just having at least one other person who understands what you're going through and can relate and has maybe some pragmatic ideas or suggestions it can share with you. Well, here's what helped me. It is invaluable both to the person with the addiction, which is why 12-step and other kinds of self-help meetings are so important. We advise, everyone to create that kind of support system for themselves with whatever, kind of meeting works for them, but also for the families to have that kind of place where they can go and it's confidential and anonymous and they can share with others about their experience. And that's what we're wanting to create as well, is that kind of safe space. The difference with Al-Anon and a professional support group is that Al-Anon is led by peers, just like AA and other, self-help groups are led by fellow people struggling with the same issue. But what we're looking at offering for Firebird, your group that we're going to be talking about here, is led by a professional, and is also led by a professional with lived experience on both ends, both as somebody in recovery and as a family member of others struggling with addiction, right? So can you share a little bit about what makes you kind of uniquely qualified to lead a support group like this?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely uniquely qualified. So, family history, I'm adult child of two alcoholic parents. I have a lot, I always joke, addiction doesn't run in my family, it does marathons. It is very much there. It's ingrained in all of us. And so I have that, I'm in recovery myself. I was married to an alcoholic and an addict at one point. And then also I have clinical training in dealing with these types of issues.
Oop. It's frozen on my end. I hope you're.
Oh, mine froze too. Oh, we're back.
Oh, we froze. We're back. Yay. I had that panic. Oh no, now what? What happens that we've frozen? Okay, we're back. Sorry, the internet isn't always cooperative. What would it take to have ease with it? But the last I heard was, yes, you were sharing about your professional experience and training as well.
Yeah. I mean, I work with people in addiction every day, right? And trauma. And then now I've created this group through, I didn't create it, but I do a weekly group at Avery Lane. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's this really big unmet need here. Yeah. And I wanted to be able to bring that to people, because the amount of community and support that these family members have gotten from this weekly group has been incredible. And I thought, what an unmet need, to have this type of place that isn't run by a peer, but is run by a professional as well. A peer and a professional. I'm both, in a lot of ways.
Yes, which is so brilliant. Let's talk a little bit about like some of the things that the family members have found so helpful. See, a lot of addiction treatment programs will provide family workshops or family weekend or family sessions. And that's great while your loved one is in treatment. But oftentimes that's done once they leave treatment. And sometimes people don't stay that long in treatment. So it may be a very brief window of time that people are getting this type of support led by a professional. So tell us a little bit about some of the benefits you've seen these clients receive from being in a group like this, or feedback you've gotten from folks being in a group like this, and how important it is to keep it going beyond just like the little bit of time their loved one's in treatment.
Yeah. I mean, we've given, we start with like basic education on what is codependency, what are boundaries, right? A lot of these family members are like, I had no idea how codependent I was on my loved one. I had no idea how to set boundaries. People have shared with us that they feel more confident in doing that. They feel a stronger sense of self, and they feel like they're getting their identity back outside of their loved one, right? They're creating support and community. They're doing things that they love again. They're getting out there. They're not like constantly consumed with what is this other person doing? How can I help them? What's going to happen? It like just this person stopped being a loop in their head, right? And they started to create their own loop again of self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's like disentangling from the, like you said, that like to me, codependency, I always think of as like an energetic enmeshment. We're just so energetically entangled with someone else that we've lost our sense of selves. And so I think you say that really eloquently, like it's about like rediscovering yourself, because for so long you've maybe lived in the shadow. We often talk in professional jargon about how the client is the identified patient, right? And sort of everything revolves around them and their addiction and their trauma and their problems and everything.
Yes.
And it's almost like there's a big spotlight, if they're on stage, there's a big spotlight shining on them, but there's all these other people, these other characters like in the background, like where's their spotlight? Like, what about them? Right?
Yeah. I mean, it also puts so much pressure on the person in treatment, on the identified patient, on the black sheep of the family, whatever you want to call it. It puts so much pressure. I hear so many parents say, When my child is doing well, I feel great.
Yeah.
And what they're saying is that their joy in life is directly proportional to how well their loved one is doing.
Right.
And that is just not a way that is sustainable to live.
It's actually a really disempowered way to live,
Yes.
and that's such a big piece, me even calling myself an empowerment coach, right? Like so much of what I think we're doing with Firebird and in this work in general is empowering people to acknowledge their own value and their own importance. Because truly, that whole oxygen mask thing, if you're not putting the oxygen mask when it drops in the airplane on yourself first and then someone else, you're no good to that other person.
Yeah. 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 So what, families, what do I do? The constant question. My number one thing is take care of yourself. Take
Yes.
care of yourself, work on yourself, and
Mhm.
allow your loved one to do the same. And you'll
Yeah.
be amazed by the beauty of an entire family in recovery together. There
Yeah.
is just nothing better. There are stronger connections. There's more emotional intimacy. There are more boundaries that are healthy, and it feels good to set them.
Right.
Right? It's an incredible thing to watch an entire family, go into recovery.
Yeah. Such an important topic. So often families get overlooked, in the shadow of the loved one who has the addiction. So we just really wanted with this new group that Nicole is starting next week. Yes.
August 15th. Yeah.
Yes. We're going to be doing an online weekly group for family members and unloved ones of people who struggle with addiction. And what are some of the things you're looking forward to, Nicole, with this group?
I'm looking forward to connecting. I'm looking forward to watching people grow in their own journeys. I'm looking forward to watching people putting themselves first. Um, I'm looking forward to a lot of it. I didn't know how much I would love working with families. And every week that I get to run this family group, I'm just like so filled with like energy and excitement to watch people really put themselves first, as you're talking about, become empowered again. And so I'm excited about that, watching people empower themselves.
And I'm super excited as, the creator of Firebird that we're just diversifying, our experiences. We've been offering individual therapy for quite some time. We've done some workshops, which have been amazing, online and in person, which was very fun. And now we're offering support groups. I have a Monday night group for survivors of trauma called From Survival to Thrival. Tuesdays, Nicole is going to be doing Beyond Addiction for families. And I'm so excited about like the other things that we've got that we're going to keep on the down low for now, but the other things that we're looking to create so that we can support as many people as possible who are struggling with issues with trauma, with addiction, and just like you said, the massive ripple effect that it has, the tsunami effect, really, that it has
Really.
on everyone in a family. So if you guys want to find out more, we have a landing page at firebird-healing.com. I will afterwards put the links in in the comment section because I'm not sure how to do that. Oh, I can do it here. Still being my own tech support here. If you go under offerings, I don't have the direct link here, but firebirdhealing.com. And then from there, if you go to the menu across the top under offerings, you should be able to see it there. If you have any questions, if you can't find it for whatever reason, you can always message me or Nicole. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to put them in the comment section. We will be checking up on this even after the fact. We'll check and see if anyone has any questions they want to find out more. But yes, we really hope that if you know of anyone who might be someone, who's a loved one of someone struggling with an addiction that might benefit from a group like this, please do pass this info along with them, to them. Nicole, any final thoughts?
No, I'm just super excited. Please come and join me on August 15th for our first week. I can't wait to see, all the growth that's possible.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Nicole, for everything you contribute to the world. So, and thanks everyone who tuned in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.